in four, in three, and two, and six. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Shung,
Good morning, Alpha.
I'm fine. I'm waiting for Mr. Michael.
Yeah, I think he's gonna join very late, so we might start. I
Oh,
think
okay.
what's his name? Nisima can start the introduction for us. I'm currently driving right now.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Well, it is evening in Uganda. It's not morning. Sorry about that. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sparing this time to be with us. Thank you, Dr. Ajayi and Mr. Christian. Thank you for being with us in the last seminar that we are going to be attending today. People are going to be coming in later. Dr. Mike had already told us that he might come in later, but we are ready to go on. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Christian.
Okay. I think we might just have like a little slide problem here because I was going to share my slide, but it looks like I can't do that unless Mr. Michael is on this call. So we'll try and look for, I guess, a way around that. I'm trying to see if there's any way around that, but all right. I mean, today we're supposed to talk about life after the offer. That's our topic for today. And the goal basically is to, get to know about visa application, uh, relocation, relocation, and also like making use of the opportunity that you have in terms of uh, how you should, like, I guess, settle down and approach like your new environment. So just give me a minute. I was going to show some brief I guess for me myself, like if I'm to talk about myself, okay, I think Mr. Michael is here. Nice. Welcome, sir. I guess audio is still connecting. I guess I'll say let's just wait for him to settle in and then so I can just share my slides. Mr. Michael, can you hear me now? Okay, yeah. So for me, when I got my admission to uh University of North Dakota, I think, the first step is to try and get your visa. I think the first step is to accept the admission. I'll put it that way. So accepting the admission, and then you getting to know what kind of funding package is available to you. I think it's also the other thing. And then because this information is very necessary with like your visa application. So luckily for me, I was able to get my visa on time through Education USA, which is a scholars program created by the US consulate in different countries. Good evening, Mr. Michael. Welcome. I want to share my slide. Can you help me with like the host, I guess, to be able to do that? So yeah, I was able to get my visa on time because of Education USA. And then the part of preparing to travel, I mean, it depends on what I guess, your current schedule and activity looks like outside of school, I mean, in this case. So you want to spend time with family, spend time with your friends. I mean, understand where you're traveling to, spend some time reading about that. Uh, you also need like a lot of financial, I guess, support to kind of fund your trip in terms of your travel costs, things you want to buy to take along and stuff like that. I mean, as long as you have most of those things out of the way, which are things you do like within your own home country, then the other part has to do with when you land, where you're going, and then how to settle down there. So for me, I think there were three major things I had to deal with when I moved here. One of them was being jet lagged. Like you said, it's currently evening in Uganda,
I think you can share your
and
screen, please.
I can share my screen. Oh, okay.
Yeah, try it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do it now. Okay. Uh, can we all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. So yeah, I think I've started to cover some part of these. I mean, for people that were here last week, I think you'd probably have seen where I give details about myself more. But this part, it's more about like what is related to today's topic. So the three things I said I dealt with, one was being jet lagged. I remember my first week coming in, I was literally sleeping when everybody was awake. And fortunately, most of my classes were in the evening. So most of my classes were like 3 to 5, 3 to 6. At that time is like sleeping time in Nigeria, like evening time. So I would always sleep off in class. And it's very like everybody would know you're sleeping because it's just a class of like 7. Like you guys are just like 7 in class. So everybody would know you're sleeping. So I think that was a big struggle for me initially. The other thing was imposter syndrome. I mean, you just get in and you're like, do I really know anything? Like, am I supposed to be here? And that might be a big struggle. And I mean, there are easy ways to deal with that too. The other, for me, the last one was also like withdrawal from like family. Like you just start to think like, how is my family coping without me? Like it's like you're being taken out of something you grew up with, and it becomes like a big struggle initially until I guess you have to accept your new reality that you belong to two places at the same time. I think that's just your new reality. So you have to be able to live with that. Moving forward. So today we're going to be looking at visa application and interviews. And one thing you should always keep in mind is visa laws varies from country to country. So what that means is applying to the US for a visa in the US is very different from applying to the UK or to Germany or to China, whatever. It's very different. Also, the relationship between your country and the country of destination matters a lot. So if you're traveling from Nigeria to US, the relationship there matters compared to Uganda to the US. So you want to know what, I guess, bilateral legislation affects both of you in that aspect. Then we'll talk about relocation. For me, I think one of the things is also the finance part of relocation. So be familiar with the conversion rate of the countries you want to go to, the location of your university, living expenses, healthcare. For example, one of the things I think we're not familiar with in Africa generally, and I'm just generalizing here, not to say, is the concept of like health insurance, which is a big thing on this side of the world. So just getting familiar with some of these things, I think would help you. Also looking at what are the available opportunities post graduations. And then I think for me, the big one would be just be prepared to change without losing your identity. But be prepared to change. I think change is constant. Like if you're not changing, then you're stagnant. What? But I don't know. For example, I will give a good example. Like where I stay in the US is considered to be like maybe top 5 coldest places in the US. Imagine me coming here and then I still want to wear I guess, our native wears from Africa. Sincerely, both you and that native wear would freeze because it gets that cold when it's winter. Like, to put it into context, uh, a regular freezer is maximum like -4, -20. Uh, Sometimes we have a weather of like -35 degrees or -40 degrees. So you can put that into like difference of like you don't even want to be underdressed in those kind of scenarios. So you have to change that. That doesn't change who you are, but you have to be able to adapt yourself to like the new environment that you found yourself. And then the last part I guess would cover is making the most of the opportunity. So moving forward, what happens after admission? The first thing is you get an admission letter saying, uh, hi Christian, you've been offered this admission to study a PhD or a master's in this particular course. And then sometimes the admission letter would list, or in most cases actually, they would list the benefits that's attached to like your admission. It could be health insurance, it could be for tuition. Most of them would come with tuition waivers. And then what's your stipend going to be like? Also, I think I wrote here like the funding package. So are you going to be a research assistant, a teaching assistant, a maybe administrative assistant, and then the amount, like what's going to be the equivalent amount based on the funding type. And then they would give most likely like a deadline for you to accept that offer. And the reason why there's always a deadline is because, well, they kind of want to start planning themselves financially and in other areas to know, okay, we're expecting 10 students this year. So they don't just want you to sit on it for as long as you want. So most times they give you like a deadline to say, hey, we're waiting for a response in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. They do give enough time to make that decision. and then you have to go accept that offer, either by just responding to that email saying, "Oh, I'm happy to accept," or go to like your portal of application, and then you would have seen like an update there that says, "Oh, you've been offered," and then you can accept it from there. Uh, then when you do this, the following step would be like getting a documentation for immigration, which would the school have to generate on your behalf. So in the case of the US, you get something called like a Form I-20, where basically there's a detail of like your funding, there's a detail of your duration of program, and then there's like a code, like a number there that you use for like further visa application. Same thing applies to the UK CAS also. The school has to generate that CAS number for you. And then I think that works in most countries. The school has to generate the first step of like your immigration application. So going like into visas like in more details, uh, with the US, you kind of have to like do a service fee and then complete the DS-160 form. Right now, a lot of laws are changing in terms of US immigration. So I don't want to say this is out of date, but it might be out of date, I guess, by the time you apply. So you want to make sure you are current on what's happening. So that's why you see that most of the countries I have here, they're all hyperlinks to the country immigration website. So you can click on them to go check out like updated information. And that would also relates to like your own country, like Uganda in this case. So book your visa appointment on time. And one of the reasons I say that is so let's say for most, for most schools, admission letter starts to come in. The schools that are very early, sometimes you even get your admission letter as early as January. So some schools give admission based on what we call a rolling base. So basically, they just like if after like 1 month, everybody they've applied, they review, they pick the top candidate and offer admission. They do that for the next month. So they call that like a rolling base. Some schools would wait till their deadline is over before reviewing any application and then before sending out admissions. So uh some admission letter can come in as early as January. And if you really want to, I guess, if you know how your country, I'm not familiar with how Uganda like immigration laws work now, but if you know that it would take a long time for you to get your visa, then you want to start the application process almost immediately. So that way you are able to get the visa before your resumption dates, because that's really, really important. Most resumption is always in like second week of August for fall semester. So if you get your admission from like January, then I guess that gives you enough time to really put in the application and get the visa on time. Uh, then how about your supporting documents? This includes your passport, your Form I-20 DS-160 confirmation, your admission and funding letters, transcripts, certificates, test score results, proof of ties to home country. I think this is something the US always kind of asks doing like your interview and even like your form. It's like they want to know if you have any home ties. This could be family. This is mainly family, sincerely. And then or maybe you have a job that you're doing, or what's your plan when you come back. Uh, and I also put bank statements. Now the bank statement is a bit, it's not a like it's not something you always need, especially if you're going for a program that is fully funded. So you don't need to provide any bank statement that would say, "Oh, I have enough money in my account to fund myself again," because you're already fully funded. When you are fully funded, your I-20 would actually reflect that you are fully funded. Uh, if I'm to say anything about the US interview, like for visas, it's short. It's a very short interview, but it's nerve-wracking. Like it's like a banking hall, and you get to hear whatever they're telling, like whoever is in front of you. So you're getting to like, you're kind of part of that conversation passively, and you can like see when they get rejected or accepted. And that tends to like psychologically affect you in a way. And I think it's very intentional from them that they set it up that way. That it looks like a banking, like a regular banking hall. But I think it's also maybe I would say a bit easy when you say the right things. I think that's the important part. I was still talking about visa interview tips. For the other countries, UK, so like I mentioned, there's a CAS number always generated by the school. That's what you use mainly for like the visa application to UK. Uh, and then Canada also, there's a student permit number that comes with your offer, and then you use that alongside with proof of fund. And proof of fund in this case could be either the funding statements you have from the school or from a scholarship, or if you're self-funding yourself, then you apply that. Uh, in Germany, I think this one applies like the block account part applies to people that are like self-funding. I don't think it applies to people that have like scholarships, because like I said, your scholarship would probably provide the financial part of your application. So yeah, I know if you're doing like a self-funded admission to Germany, yeah, you always need like a block account of like 11,000 euros. And I wrote an important note here that some of these applications might change depending on your funding, and also understanding the processing time and the required documentation. Likewise, I think you should always keep in mind that the US Embassy in Uganda function like they are in the US. I hope that makes sense. What that means is if there's a public holiday in the US, the US Embassy in Uganda would observe it. So that embassy is there as a proxy of the US. It means the moment you go into that embassy, you're considered to be in the United States of America. And that applies to every country. So like the Uganda embassy in Nigeria would be considered as Uganda, not like Nigeria. So if you keep that in mind, that would I think that would help you in like applying. For example, like you don't want to go apply for your visa like around period where you know there will be like holidays in the US. It might affect the processing time a bit. Not because they will all leave the work, but it might affect the processing time. So just keeping some of these minor details in mind, I think would really help. Uh, Document are just very important. Yeah, don't forget your document. I think that I would just keep repeating that. Like you don't want to get there and be like, oh, I didn't bring this, so it would destabilize you. So just going to the tips, I would say dress nice, but be comfortable. Like don't pick that day as the day you want to wear suit and tie if you're someone that don't wear suit and tie. Sincerely, you want to be comfortable, because if you get into like a panic mode based on like your outfit, or like your tie is now shocking you, I think it might ruin your day quickly, like really quick. So make sure you are like well dressed but comfortable. The other part is to be confident, especially with the US. And I mean, with UK, I don't think there's any physical interview attached to it. So yeah, you're probably fine on that part. But with the US, where there's like a physical interview attached, your confidence matters a lot. You don't want to go to an interview and then the first question they ask you, okay, so for example, if someone asks me, why this program or why this university? You don't want to come and then say, um, um, uh, so, so, yes, yes. So when my daddy said that I have to travel, like you're jeopardizing your chance like in a big way. And one of the issue with that is one, they have very short time with you. So they have like maximum of like 3 minutes to spend with you. Now, that 3 minutes is an average. It can be shorter or longer, but 3 minutes on average time is what they spend with like each candidate. Uh, Two, these people are like very confident people themselves. So if you don't talk to them confidently, you you might lose them. Like they might not be able to like follow up with you. So be confident. Also speak clearly. You need to understand that we have an, I guess I don't want to say it's not a disadvantage, it's just we have different backgrounds. So there's an accent difference. So it's not a disadvantage, it's just an accent difference. So you need to understand that okay, this person might not hear me my English clearly. So let me speak like clearly and also speak slowly, not like super slow, like a slurring, but like you want to make sure all your words are coming out clearly and keep your answers very short. You don't want to start explaining how you traveled from Uganda to Kenya and then something happened on the way while your flight. Nah, leave explanations. Straight to the point, be precise. Then be honest. Because one thing you should know, especially with the US, since that's what I've experienced, is they do a lot of background checking. So they've researched you before you come for that interview. And in some ways, they've in their head, by looking at your application, they've marked what they would consider as red flag or green flags. So when they ask you questions, those questions are coming from the fact that they know about you. I would say you should consider the fact that they know about you more than you know about yourself, considering how much of I guess security advancements the US has access to. So you want to be very honest. Anticipate common questions. Yeah, these are like very common questions. Like, oh, which program are you going for? Why this university? And in my own case, for example, I think uh, when I when I was asked why this university, one of my at least my first line was, well, this university was the one that offered me an admission with funding, and I'm really interested in the program because in the US it's not common to have departments where epigenetics is like one of the core focus of the department, which is what I study. Uh, and for me, that makes the university stand out because they have like one of the important core that I was interested in. So one thing that makes you sound like you know your onion in this case is specificity. You don't want to give generic answer. So I cannot ask you, oh, why did you apply to University of Oxford, or why are you going to the University of Oxford, or why are you going to Harvard to study? And then you now be like, oh, Harvard is a top school in the world. Like you're talking to an American. So yes, he knows Harvard is already a top school in the world. So that answer is not like it's not accepted. It's too generic. So you don't want to sound generic when it comes to these visa things. You want to make sure you answer questions with specificity. Who is funding your study? Most times this answer would come at whether, especially when you are not fully funded. Even when you are fully funded, they can still ask you. So you can just show them like, oh, the school is funding my study during the duration through a graduate research assistantship where I get to work with Professor this and that on this particular research topic. What's your plan after graduation? In this case, people are advised to show some home ties in for your plans after graduation. That doesn't negate you, I guess, staying back in the US to obviously continue your studies or anything, but it's always good to put in your home country as part of your plan. And even sincerely, like genuinely, it doesn't mean, for example, you doing for example, I've had to organize a lot of programs, training for my alma mater back in Nigeria. And I mean, I've not been to Nigeria, but like I still do things for like my home country. So plans after graduation could include like, oh, I think I'll be back in Uganda for like to help out in my university with this particular course, just to train others or create more opportunity for the less privileged community. Stuff like that that shows like, okay, yeah, you still consider your people to be priority. I think for me that's also a bonus on your application, like on your visa interview. So I think we've covered most things. I would say now that please, if you have any question, just put them in the chat box, and then yeah, I would go through questions like we did last week also. Relocation tips. In most times when you get admission to schools, they try to find a way to integrate you even before you move there. So that could include maybe trying to introduce you to some of the students, or that you guys are going to be in the same cohort, or try to introduce you to obviously students already on campus. So I feel like finding a community would be the first thing that would help you in, I guess, settling down when you want to relocate. Uh, and then you finding like accommodation. Housing is like one of those things. Your flights, as soon as you get your visa, try to book your flight like almost immediately. Because one, in terms of prices will move based on the time of the year. So you want to be able to, I guess, beat that and put yourself in a considerable, favorable position. Pack everything you consider essential, and essential can be, I mean, it's subjective for everyone. For me, one of the things I considered essential there when I was traveling was all the jottings I use when I was applying. I mean, I just wanted to have that record with me to, I guess, for progress sake, to see how far I had come. So I used to have like notes where I wrote, oh, what I wanted to score in GRE, me listing out of the university I wanted to apply to, and stuff like that. So for me, those things were things I really wanted to have when I was coming. Also, like food stuff. I really love to cook, so that's like one of my hobbies. So I really packed like a lot of food when I was coming. And then obviously like your native wares, because you might not have easy access to them when you go to like a foreign country. So packing your native wares, I think is also like important, because by the time you travel, it might not be easy for you to get them again. Your documents, really important. Make sure to have copies of those documents. You can keep some with your family, but I always advise you to keep your original with yourself. I mean, now you should be able to take care of your things. So keep your own original document with yourself, because you might need that document when you travel, and some people, they might not collect your photocopy. So just keep your original with you. Uh, Most universities would ask for your arrival details. So that means they would ask you, when are you planning to land? In some very general schools, they even make provision to come get you at the airport when you land. So that's why that information is really important. Uh, some of the adjustment I would say is also getting used to replying and sending emails. I know it sounds maybe irrelevant here, but it's really, really relevant, because I feel like, for example, the first experience I'm having to having a student email is when I moved here. Even though my school tried to come up with that thing, I didn't think it didn't fly. So it took a while to get into the habit of, oh, let me check my email. Because most of your communication will be via that channel. So really, really get used to checking your email, responding to email, learning the email linguistic, and also making your email more professional, like having like like your address below every email and stuff like that. I think it's something that I would say, you moving into a new system, you kind of have to like start to learn maybe some. We're still going to talk about more of the shift into like a new culture. uh I guess the other part is also giving yourself some time to really settle down. It takes a while, but give yourself that time to really settle down. Like, think about it before you travel. Like, I might not know most people. For example, I think the one that I consider very difficult is when you move to a country where English is not their first language. It's tough. like it's really tough. Trust me. I have a friend, she's currently in South Korea studying there. Really beautiful place, but I think she always tell me like initially when she had moved there, she couldn't talk to her roommates who was Korean. So basically, if they want to talk to each other, they have to put like a translator, like a phone app they use to translate. She would say whatever she wanted to say in English, give it to her roommate will read it, and then her roommate will reply to her in Korean, then the thing converted back to English. And trust me, that's a very tough communication. Uh, Even though, I mean, on our own part, most of our classes were taken in English because she's there for a graduate program. So that's good. But like every other thing around that was in Korean. So it makes it really difficult. So I would say uh if that's going to be your reality, yeah, also understand that that change is a huge change. Talking about change, I think one thing that I guess most people actually felt is the culture shock. So you're talking about language. I've given it like a good description of that. And even in countries where you speak, like where they speak English, like the US, UK, our English are very different. So I remember there was a time I had to do an essay in class. And I mean, I'm from Nigeria, so we belong, I don't want to say we belong to the Queen, but we're colonized by the Queen. So, and I remember, I think my laptop at that time was set to UK English. So I wrote all my essay using UK English. And then I know I submitted to this professor who is like a pure American. Uh, and then my essay came back with so many corrections, like so many red notes and everything. And at the top of that essay wrote, "Oh, you are now in the United States of America." And after that time, I became very, very conscious of like, okay, my essays, like I make sure my laptop are like always in US English because some spellings are very different, like the way we write call or like stuff like that. It's very different, even pronunciations and things. Jonah, if you can please mute yourself, your mic is unmuted. Uh, so there's that. There's also the weather, which I think I spoke about. I remember when I went for my visa interview, and the VO, the visa officer, the moment I gave him my I-20 and he saw the location of my school, he just said, "I hope you have a winter jacket." And I jokingly replied him by saying, "Oh, not yet." That I was going to buy it after he approved my visa. And he laughed about that. And then we continued the interview. But you preparing for that weather change, sincerely, I don't think anyone can prepare for that until you experience it. But yeah, just be ready to like change for that. Food, also, way of life, religion. I think those are like things you have to really adjust to. For example, way of life. I think it took a while to like, most of us in Africa, we live a very communal life where you grow up with families around you all the time. It's not the same in most of these westernized countries. Some countries still practice that strongly, like the Asians. But like if you come to like westernized country, you won't see that a lot. So these are like things that might be new to you that you have to get used to. Ask thoughtful questions. I think this is really important. Asking questions, one, helps you to get more information, and it also makes people to notice you. And like I wrote here, it's very easy to ask thoughtful questions when you listen. Like just listen to the person. If someone is talking to you and after they're done talking, you don't have any question, it's either you're not listening at all or what they're saying doesn't make sense. And even what they're saying doesn't make sense, then you should have questions like, what are you saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. So if you don't have question when someone finishes talking, most times to me, it means you were not listening to them. That's the way I see it. So I do expect questions from all of us because I think we are listening to me now. So yeah, ask thoughtful questions, be open-minded. because when you ask questions, you receive answers. And then some of those answers might not be comfortable with your own cultural background, but you should be open-minded to them. Know that these people are in their own place. They've grown up a particular way too. I'll tell you one of the culture shock I had when I moved here. In Africa, we are a very strong believer of spare the rod and spoil the child, which means we use the rod a lot. However, when I moved here, I went to visit like a family friend, and she wanted to scold her children, and she was like, "Take it 10." And I'm like, "What is take it 10?" And then I just saw the boy like walk to like the wall and just face the wall or sat down by the side of the wall for 10 minutes. And I'm like, if this was the punishment I grew up with, I think I'll always take like 24 hours. Like, I'll, I'll take the whole day. So some of these cultural differences are like, they're huge that you have to adjust to it. Understand the law and respect them. I mean, for example, your visas have restrictions. There are limits on your visas. You don't want to break those things because they might jeopardize your stay in the country. Even breaking something as small as traffic laws can jeopardize your stay in the country. So make sure you understand what are the traffic laws, uh, what are your visa restrictions, what are the laws around your school, your course, all those things. For example, like your courses, I mean, plagiarism, all those. So it's really important to understand like rules and regulation. Always ask for help. There will be a lot of student communities around you, support groups, churches around you. I mean, these are like communities to really help you to, I guess, develop yourself. And like I'm putting it here again, give yourself grace to settle down. It might be tough when you move there initially, but like uh find that time and also learn to don't be caught up in your own space. Find time to integrate with your society. Okay, going back to the academic part of things, expect that imposter syndrome feeling. Like it's a feeling. And I always tell people when I talk about this that it's called imposter for a reason. It means it's fake. Like something that's an imposter is fake. It's not real. So it's an imposter already. So that feeling in itself, it's fake. Uh, but one thing that would keep you above the imposter syndrome is to remember that you got here on merits. So you deserve to be in that room. You have to constantly just remind yourself that like I was not given this admission because I'm the best looking Ugandan like available. No, I applied, I competed with other smart people like me, and I was selected. So it means I deserve to be here. So having that knowledge would help you overcome the thought of like, oh, do I deserve to be here? Because that's what really the imposter syndrome would make you feel like, do I really deserve to be here? Do I like you're seeing these people that I guess the closest you've been to them is, I mean, maybe someone very big in your field. You just go to a conference and you see the person and you're sitting down with them randomly, like casually. I like, is it sorry, I just choose the Nigerian slang there. Is this me and this person that's sitting down next to each other? So just remember that you deserve to be there and you are there on merits. So you have a place there. Your voice needs to be heard there. I'm putting this out again. Ask thoughtful questions. Uh when I moved here, I have my own fair share of imposter syndrome. But I remember talking to one of my mentors here and it was like, you need to ask questions. Like people need to hear you talk. And the more you talk, the more refined you are also in your thought process. So the more you ask questions, the more refined you are in your thought process of like asking the next questions, especially when you listen to the answers you get. So for me, I think I put in a good amount of work into listening to people when I'm there for their talk because you would have to attend departmental seminars and stuff like that. You want to uh show yourself that, oh, I'm listening to this person, I have a question. And it's okay to ask questions you don't understand or questions that some people are like, this is a stupid question. So it's okay to ask those questions. I guess I used to say something that you're allowed to be foolish once. It's consistent repetition of foolishness that I would say makes you a fool. So if you ask a foolish question once and you get corrected, then you've learned from it. You cannot be foolish in that aspect again. At least it will be assumed that. The other part is be proactive with your professors because here grading on participation is a big thing. So I know we practice that a bit in Africa, but yeah, it's a big thing. Like they want to be able to identify you as one of the good students in class. So yeah, be very proactive with your professors. Learn time management. There's no African time, so they cannot say class is 3 o'clock and you show up at 4. You would be painted really black, bad, not black, black, bad. So use your calendar, learn to schedule things, set reminders if you have to, but make sure you show up on time when you move there. I think that's one of the things that I think maybe it's a big struggle for we Africans to learn. Showing up on time for things. The last one is also find the resources available around you and make use of them. Like you have access to a ton of free stores in like most of these countries when you move there. Like it could be free food. So for example, like most in the US, we have something called like food pantries where you could just go and take any food stuff you want. Like you just call it, book an appointment and go there and take food. It could be like maybe access to maybe a pro version of like an app that you would need in school. So those free resources are available to you. Like you just need to ask the university, like you'd have correspondents from the university that you can always talk to for these things that they would be willing to give it to you for free. So that's why it's also good to ask questions. Finance. I think some people don't want to talk about it, but I think this is really important. When you're traveling, I mean, you should try at least take like a startup fund. I guess that's what I'll call it with you. And that money would just be something that gets you going for like the few weeks till you are really settled in. And then I guess the step is like, I mean, after you've been able to settle in the case of the US, when you come in, you have to do what we call like an SSN, a social security number, and then that allows you to register for a lot of things. So you open a bank as soon as possible. Don't get into the habit of credit cards, because I don't think we generally in Africa have very strong financial education across board that are like brought up from families. So when you move to a system that's very capitalist intense, if that's the right word, or system that capitalism is the order of the day, you can easily get into the habit of like, oh, there's a lot of credit card for me, there's this and that, there's free things, so let me get into free stuff. But never go into that until you fully understand what percentages of returns and loans and everything is involved. Just increase your financial knowledge. That's what I'll say. Learn budgeting because sometimes only you can easily save yourself. Like, so learn how to budget your money, live within your means, and try to save as much as you can. You would need to maybe buy a car, buy things for yourself. So learn to save as little as you can. Explore work options within your visa limits. Most times, the international office in most schools would help you either to get a job. Uh, so explore those options. I think it's really important to explore those options. Uh, the other part is apply for external scholarships or fellowships to get more money. So that's allowed. I mean, if you're in a program that you have fellowships that can give you more money, please apply for them. Always ask your school about it. They would, I mean, help you find. And remember home and stay humble. I always think like you traveling out is not that time for you to maybe try and rub it on your friends that have not traveled and maybe try showing all the time online or that kind of a thing. Especially in the case where you're not helping them out. Like there's no point doing that. Uh uh and I think for me that's probably one of the reasons why home PC, can you please mute yourself? We can hear you. So I think for me, that's probably one of the major reasons why when I moved to the US, I never had like any LinkedIn story posted because I felt like maybe it wasn't appropriate considering the people around me uh at that time. Like I think I can go do it now, like even though it's been a while back. I feel like I can just do it for the fun. I wasn't really into that. And I would say most of my mentors were not also into that. So I kind of had a good footstep of like, yeah, I know most of my mentors are outside of the country and none of them ever came online to post about, oh, this is me traveling out, oh, this and this, long epistles. Now I'm not saying people that do it are wrong. I'm just saying you need to be able to understand like what works for you in the context of humility. And I don't think humility is subjective. Uh, so I'll just say be humble. Like that's not the time to maybe do like on top of the world because you're not there yet. Uh, in terms of even like that's not the time for you to be like, oh, I need to go change my phone to maybe the latest iPhone. I need to buy PS5. I need to like you want to spend wisely and just keep your money. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it does. Uh, so making the most of it. I think your uniqueness is really important. Like we're very different from each other. Our stories are different. Our struggles are different. What made you you is different. And trust me, you should be able to tell your story to people. Like, hey, I'm different. Like, I'm from Uganda and this is my experience. If there's anything that my department does here that I really like is when you're a first year student, they make you do like a presentation for the department to get to know you, which is always fun. Like you can talk about anything you want, talk about yourself, talk about like what you've been doing, your hobbies. And I think that uniqueness makes you different because if we are all the same, then there's no point living here. Like, so that difference is what we really need. So bring your difference to the table all the time. Uh, build network. I think building network is really, really important too. We are in a new system, so try to make new friends, try to make new mentors. Just build a good system around yourself, a good network. And I wrote here like vertically and horizontally. So vertically means you're building like network with people that are above you. So you're going like up. So this could include your faculties, people you're looking up to, people that are already in the field, senior PhD students, postdocs. So that's a vertical relationship. Horizontally, you're building relationship with your classmates, people that are like in your level, people you came in together, your friends. I think it's those two relationships are important uh, for you to learn. I also wrote it here, learn to show up. I should have put learn to show up and show up on time. There will be conferences around you, there will be workshops around you, social events. Learn to attend those things. Sometimes people tend to want to, I guess, be nonchalant, maybe because oh, you feel like I might be the only black person there or stuff like that. No, you should show up. That's even more reason why you should show up. Like be there and always tell them like, oh no, 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 in Uganda we won't do it this way. Like this is how we would do it. Because one thing I probably like about the West is they're very open to learning. So if you tell them like, no, this is how we do it in Uganda, they respect it and they're like open to like, yeah, you talk more about it. So I think showing up and just being yourself is really, really like good for you because it also make them notice you in case of there's an award or there's like a conference they want to send students for. They're like, oh, that guy is always coming. And every school wants to show that they have diversity in their campus. So you might be that can play for you into being like, oh, maybe we need to add an African concept into this. For example, I've been on committees where basically I'm there because they needed an African perspective on the topic and they know me to be like probably the most or one of the most outspoken Africans in the department. So they're like, yeah, we should bring this guy on board because it would give us a perspective about from an African point of view. So that can really help you. Like I mentioned here, also explore internships. Like there will be internships opportunities around you. Make sure to find out about that. And how does your visa limit affect that? Your international, every school has an international office. So talking to those guys, I think would really be something that would get you going. The other one I would say is help others to get to where you are. That's really important because thanks to Mr. Michael for putting this together, and thanks to Dr. Sheung, like, I mean, he helped people like us to be here. So, and that's always been like, I guess, my watchword or mantra. And like, you always have to help others to get to where you are because that's the only way you can measure your growth. Like, how many people have you helped to, like, it's just like the way Jesus was like, the only way Jesus measures growth is to disciple many to become like him. So, same thing applies to us. Like, I think I was posting something on my status recently that when Jesus was going, Jesus said something that uh, the greater works than I did, that's what you would do. So you even want people that you are helping to do better than you. You want them to apply to bigger schools than your school in because you now you know more. You know what loopholes they have to avoid in application and all those things. So really, really putting yourself in a position to help others, I think for me is important. And make sure you're a good representative of your people and beyond. Anywhere you go, even within Uganda or in Africa, you're a representative of your people. This could be as low as like your immediate family or as wide as like Uganda. So it's like if you are in a system where you are people one of the few Ugandans there, then you are representing Uganda in that place. So you want to be the best version of yourself. You don't want to act in a way that would jeopardize the chances of your fellow Ugandans when they apply for the same opportunity. So I always say to keep that in mind. And one of, I guess, another watchword I really have is always exhaust the opportunities around you before you go seek another. I mean, here's an opportunity that's been given to you to learn about application process and life after school and everything. Exhaust that opportunity. And then when you get to your next phase of life, make sure you always look around you and be like, there's an opportunity around me I've not even touched yet, that I've not exhausted yet. So make sure you exhaust those opportunities before you go seek another. Now, just to kind of wrap things up, I've listed some of the big challenges I guess I covers this aspect of life after offer and then traveling and their solutions. So for jet lag, I would say just get enough rest, sleep. Try to, get enough sleep, especially when you just move there for as much as you can. When you are homesick, create a time to catch up with your family. Like even if it has to be like a ritual. So you could be like weekends, yeah, that's when I catch up with family because your schedule will get super busy. And then because of the time difference, it can become very difficult for you. So have a dedicated time to catch up. If you're feeling like you're having an imposter syndrome, remind yourself that you deserve it and do twice as much. So if everybody's around you is reading for 2 hours, read for 4 hours. Because that also motivates you to understand like I think I've learned everything I need to learn. Like I understand this thing and I deserve to be here. Cultural misunderstanding. Be willing to learn and also to teach your culture. I think teaching your culture is really, really nice. My supervisor in my own case, she's Indian American. And anytime something happens in the lab, I'll be like, oh, in Nigeria, this is how we do things. Like, not because I'm telling her to do it that way, but just having that understanding would help. The other cultural part that I think most of us as Africans might even run into with issues like in the West is, for example, we are very used to titles in Africa. So when I see someone that is older than me, I have to respect them as an elder and then regard them using the right linguistics. So in Nigeria now, you have to say something like bro, or you could use your local dialect to say that too. Uh, but yeah, it's a bit frowned at. Like when you use a lot of sa, ma, they frown at it. So they just want you to call them by their first name, even if the person's like an emeritus professor. They want you to just call them by their first name. Hi, Mike, how you doing? Like stuff like that. It takes a while to adjust to that. Like someone like me, I'm still adjusting to it. But then when you teach your cultural background, sometimes they also respect your difference. So sometimes I let people understand like, oh, in Nigeria, this is how like our education system is. So it's a bit difficult for me to maybe call you sir directly. But I would obviously I'm learning, I will catch up and eventually do that. But like just so you understand, like I'm not trying to disrespect you, it's just my culture. Uh and then for visa limitations, there are always many opportunities still available even within the limits. So make sure to ask questions and figure out how to, I guess, explore opportunities effectively. In conclusion, I decided to go learn some Swahili words for this presentation. So I hope I get the pronunciation right. Mr. Nisima, you would help me if I'm wrong. So in conclusion, make sure to go over your applications over and over again before submitting. Don't make your application process like a third-party job. Be actively involved in your visa application. Be ready to learn and integrate. So when you learn, integrate yourself into like your new society. And then, but always remember your identity. Always remember who you are because that's going to be your core foundation all the time. Now, everything is not always going to look fine in the beginning, but remember to stay positive because nothing lasts forever. So you might get in and there's a lot of struggles in settling down. Things might not go well, but always remember like nothing would last forever. And then remember home. I think for me, I keep saying that because that's that's always been like a core for me in terms of me being connected to my family is just uh it's just a way for me to still stay motivated in what I'm currently doing. So remember home, remember your friends, still talk to them. Like you're not above them because you're not in the US. So still talk to your friends, still find time to catch up. It might be difficult. It won't be the same frequency, but still find time to catch up. Let them know you're available to help them too. Uh, and then the last part will be Akuna Matata, which means no worries. So would have an assignment. I mean, like my last session, I hope we all did the assignment from the last session. And the assignment this time would be to read about any two country of your choice and their student visa process, how that would go, and share this among your study group. So if you guys do that, you should cover like most of the common countries people would go to. Also learn to start to use a calendar to schedule your meetings or to schedule like activities. I think even traveling out or not traveling out, that would save you a lot of time and a lot of impromptu meetings that people just try to make you do. And then take out time to watch the last 7 session again with your study group and get to work. Start applying, start putting your CV together, start putting your like your SOPs, start listing your schools. And I had this very popular quote from a rap battle, and I really like it because obviously you can see the rhymes there, but I want us to take out the meaning. And he said, if you don't look sure, you will be left back. So I guess in conclusion, it will be make sure to look sure, like so that you're not left back. When it comes to action, just act, act, act. Get to work, put your applications together and start applying and start preparing to apply. With that, we'll come to an end. Now this is the one I've Asante. I think that's the right way to say it. Asante, which means thank you all for listening, and then we'll take questions. Oh, Mr. Michael is not here. So please, if you have any question, kindly put them in the chat box. I'll be happy to address them as soon as possible so that we don't,
All right. So,
maybe.
thank you so much, Christian, for the wonderful presentation. So,
Thank you, sir.
I didn't say this earlier. Dr. Dwebo, this week is his last week in Uganda, so he's having
Oh,
an
okay.
exit meeting. So that's why he's not here.
Oh,
So please, if you have any question, please let's go ahead and
Peter Mukasar. Oh, there are like two Peters here. Owen Peters. What are some of the visa interview red flag? Good question. For me, I think one of the major red flag, I guess, is you coming to that, like you dressing anyhow. I think that's the first red flag. Yeah. Dressing anyhow is a big red flag. Like with your appearance. If you appear really rough, it's a big red flag. The other one I would say is lying. Like I said, they've done their background on you, so you don't want to lie about like basic stuff, and so that's a big red flag too. The other one would be not knowing what you're going for. So imagine they're asking you, oh, so what program are you going to study? And you say something completely wrong. And then they have your I-20, they're looking at your I-20 and you're saying something else. That's a big red flag. Like you don't want to be wrong about any of your application material. So I think having that good knowledge of all your application, including your CV, because that was part of your application material, also would be very important. So you don't want to get those things wrong. I'll say those things are red flag. The other thing I would say is also a red flag is trying to be cocky. Like I said to be confident, but like don't try to be cocky with them, like being overconfident, because they will like, what are you doing? Like one thing you should understand is there's a power dynamics when you go for visa interview. You have zero power, and the visa officer interviewing you has 100% of the power. So that's not the place to play smart or try to be cocky. You just want to express humility without being subservient. Like you just want to say what you have to say the right way. So I would say those are things I would consider like red flags before your interview. Like, for example, they're asking you which professor are you working with and you don't know. Like, just really understanding your application material would save you a lot of work, sincerely. Did you mention carrying stuff like foodstuff? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to carry foodstuffs from your home country to travel. It's very much allowed. Some are not allowed. For example, you can't carry stuff like, I don't know if you guys have like something we call palm oil in Nigeria. I think you guys should have it. It's not allowed unless you're like freezing it for like months before taking it. So that way it doesn't melt while you travel. But consider your flight will be like a 20 hours long flight. So yeah, you don't want to carry anything liquid. But basic stuff like rice, beans, some of our spices are allowed as much. Thank you so much, Mr. Christian, for your wonderful presentation. I would like to know more about accommodation. Like, do you stay outside the campus? So it depends on the school. Some schools, I mean, have very good on-campus accommodation. And sincerely, my advice would be to stay on campus in your first 1 or 2 years before you start to explore like opportunities outside of the campus, especially in schools where you have that opportunity. Whereas in some schools, there's no even on-campus accommodation. So you all have to stay outside of the campus. So it really depends on the school. But if your school have an on-campus accommodation, I would say you should stay there at least your first and second year, because there's just a bit of an advantage to it. One, it's easily integrate you into the student community. So that way, you are not far off. Are there opportunities in Russia? Oh yes. At least I think I know. I have a friend who is currently in Russia, actually. And I know it was funded. So yeah, there are opportunities in Russia, but the application might be a bit different from like most of the application. I think with Russia, you probably have to reach out to like a professor to get someone that you want to work with over there, and then they might help you with like the admission process. I don't think it's an admission process I'm very, very, very familiar with. But now that you mentioned, maybe I'll talk to my friend and probably do another session on that. But yeah, I do have a friend who studied in Russia, and I mean, I think they have a nice education system there over there too. Thank you everyone for your question. Do we still have any more questions? Okay, I don't think we have any more questions. So I'll try and get the slides across to Dr. Michael to share with everyone. And please make sure to use all the resources that have been attached on the slide. And yeah, you can always reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help with application. And I'm sure most of the other instructors that you've had over the last 7 weeks too are more than happy to do that too. So with that, I mean, Dr. Shum, I think we can come to an end, right?
Oh yeah, sure. I don't know if do you want to go ahead, Nisima, to round up for us? Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Christian.
Yeah, thank you.
Well said. You took your homework about Swahili, Hakuna Matata, and Asante.
Yeah.
It's
I think I
interesting
got
to
that
hear
right.
it
Yeah, I
from
said
you.
Asante. Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting to hear it from you, and I'm happy about that. Well,
Thank you.
questions have been answered very well. Thank you very much. And thank you for your time. Thank you for always dedicating this time to talk to us. About the assignment of last week, there is a group called Kavale to the World. Kavale is the city where we are in. So
Oh, okay.
students who want to join the group, who are still on, they are free to contact me. Then I send them the link to join the group. And this assignment that has been given this week, I think it's going to be done in those respective groups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Nisima. Yeah. It's nice having this conversation with you guys for the past couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Have a good evening for Ugandans and a good morning for everyone.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
everyone. Yeah.